All right, hello and welcome everyone to the Talk to the Entity Intermediate intro. Um, so this class is one of my most favorite classes. There is so much of awareness that starts opening up. We'll be talking a little bit about what all we'll be covering in this class and a little bit about entities also right now. And in case any one of you have any questions, you're most welcome to just unmute and ask them. But before you do that, let me just start off with a few things about what exactly is talk to the entity. So entities, like a lot of people have a lot of fear about entities, and like we've been made to feel like, oh my God, you make them greater than you. You think entities have all the possible power to harm you and to destroy you. It's not like that. So, it's like sometimes when you're just sitting in your house just by yourself and from the corner of your eyes, you'll see something move or somebody walk by. And then you're like, you just turn your head and you look and you don't see anybody there. But what were you aware of? If you sensed that somebody walked past, then you were right. What were you aware of? And that awareness is where being totally present to, yes, those might be entities. Now, just because there's an entity there does not mean it's going to start harming you or doing anything to you. It's just there. It's like, when people die and but sometimes they don't even know that they're dead. Okay, so they don't know because sometimes the death can be very sudden. And then there are a whole lot of reasons, which is part of the intro and beginning class. But today we're talking about intermediate, so we'll stick to that. But when people die and some of them don't even know that they have moved on, what happens is they are still there trying to interact with you, trying to hold conversations with you, and then they're wondering why aren't you responding to them? Okay, and a lot of times that's what happens. It's like when you walk into a party, say for example there's a big party going on and you walk in there and then you see your friends and you're saying hi to all of them and nobody is responding to you, they're not even looking at you, and you're like, what just happened? Why isn't anybody responding to me? It's because there are these entities. Just 1 minute. Yeah, sorry, what were we talking about? uh what were we talking about? Yeah, so similarly, entities, when they've moved on, they don't even know that they are dead. But now here they're trying to interact with you, they're trying to say hello, and nobody is responding. So it's not a good feeling, right? So then what they'll do is they'll play around with electricity. That's their way of getting through to you. So they can't move things around. So the only way they can actually start making you aware of the presences where they'll play tricks with the electricity. Suddenly the light bulb will go on and off, and suddenly the light will switch off, and all that things, and other communication methods and like internet or over the phone call, the call will be distorted and stuff. That's what they are, just making their presence felt. Now, just because they're making the presence felt does not mean they're there to harm you or to create issues for you. um, Sometimes they just want a to be acknowledged, and other times they just want maybe for you to facilitate them. Especially if you've attended Talk to the Entity classes, now that you know how to clear entities, they're just there to, they want to be facilitated. They know that you can actually relieve them from the place that they're stuck in. And I can't even begin to tell you how much of ease just facilitating these entities start creating in your life. There was this time when I would go for my early morning walks, and throughout throughout that walk, that 1 hour walk, I would actually, all my business time used to be with the entities, used to be around that time. So I would just keep communicating with them. I would clear them. I would get a sense that, okay, all the entities on this road, okay, all the drugs and alcohol entities that are there, dissipate, release. I would just talk to them and clear them out. Now, suddenly I'll get a sense that maybe this particular building, let me clear entities from this building or from this tree or from my dad's place in Gurgaon, just clear entities. So random people, random places, whoever would come to my awareness on that particular day, I would just keep clearing entities. You know what started happening? Suddenly, I started creating so many classes. Suddenly, in fact, I think that month I created so many talk to the entity classes. It just so happened randomly. And then there was ease in all aspects of my life, whether it was with money, whether it was with relationships, whether it was in terms of a lot of opportunities coming up. So this is the level of ease that facilitating entities start creating. So if we tend to just get over our fears and start looking at literally the way those entities can start contributing to us, and also acknowledge that we ourselves are also being a contribution to them, there's so much more space that opens up and so much of ease that starts opening up. And to a large extent, these classes, like I've attended so many classes at Shannon also, and I just always find her to be a very, very empowering space. And that's what all the Talk to the Entity CFs provide to everyone. Like, just they give you the tools, they give you the awareness, and they give you the encouragement and the empowerment to know that you know, and to trust yourself, and you know that you will be able to create changes. So how do you know that there are entities around you that are creating a little mischief? So if you feel stuck with your finances, if you feel stuck with a lot of relationship issues, a lot of trauma and drama going on at home, keep clearing entities. Even with regards to money flows, keep clearing entities. With regards to things not working out for you, or losing out on opportunities, or sudden roadblocks and lots of roadblocks being created, again, keep clearing entities. It really, really contributes. And also one more thing, where suddenly you feel very, very lethargic, you don't feel like working, you keep procrastinating, you have to go out there and create so many things, but you just keep procrastinating. That's, again, keep clearing, doing the demon and entity clearings, and it really opens up a lot of space to you guys. Now, Shruti and anyone else, do you have any questions? Anything that I can contribute to before we get on to what all we'll be covering in this? Yes, Aditi, go ahead.
Okay, sure.
Hi, Smriti. So Shruti invited me to this space. Thank you, Shruti. I was actually curious. I've done the entity class, but I'm
Yeah.
always curious whether, they have been cleared or not. I always have this question. Is it really happening? Because we are saying what we need to, but I really don't know whether it's working. How do we know that?
So, you'll know that it's working when suddenly there's a lot of ease in your world, where things just suddenly there are pathways that start opening up. Things that you've been working so hard for suddenly just starts materializing. There's a level of ease and peace in your house, in your relationships, with everyone in the family, and even in your friendships. So you'll know that things are working, and those entities that you've been clearing, they are actually choosing to go. And you'll get a sense. Just trust yourself and ask, okay, so truth, is there anything else that's required? Um, did I facilitate these entities? Are they really gone? And you'll get a sense of yes or a no. So just trust that awareness. And if you get a sense of yes, then that's fine. But if you get a sense of no, then just say, okay, what else is required? Sometimes there are oaths and vows that you need to clear. All that is covered in the Internet Beginning class. So I won't go into all that, but there are methods and steps that you must have been taught, which is what you have to start changing and using.
And it needs to be done daily, right?
Um, Maintaining the business hours every day really contributes. Like, you
Okay.
have a choice not to do it, but I've noticed the more you do it, you develop a muscle of just being able to be so present and aware when you're interacting with entities. You just know what they're saying. It all shows up like a big download, or suddenly things
Hmm.
that you become aware of. A lot of times, like initially when I got into when I did my first Talk to the Entities class, I was like, just 1 minute, let me unmute. Let me mute everyone. Okay, Aditi, you can unmute when you. So when I first, I when I first attended my Talk to the Entity class, and then there was this facilitator who was based in Bombay, but she had gone to Delhi to conduct a class, and then she mentioned something like, I saw. So she saw, like, in her dreams or whatever, or in the night, she was staying at a friend's place, and she saw this guy in a room. And when she said, I saw a guy, and I was like, oh my God, like, how can some guy just enter her room like that? Like, how can she just, like, I would freak out if I would ever see something like that. But later on, I'll just tell you in which way it showed up. So she saw this guy and she started talking to him, like, okay, who are you? Like, is there any way I can contribute and all? So he was wearing a helmet, but his face was also full of blood and stuff. And then he's like, why is my wife there with this guy in that other room? And she's like, what happened? And so she realized that this was an entity and he was asking questions, and she was just trying to keep on asking more and more questions. And then she got to know that he had met with an accident, and he and his wife were on a bike and they met with an accident. And I think he passed away at that time. So he didn't know that he's moved on or passed away, but he was there. And so he's like, I'm telling my wife, like, but she's not talking to me. Since that day, she stopped talking to me. So this facilitator just said, you don't have a body anymore. And would you like me to facilitate you? And then she did that, and then he left. And then next day morning, when she was having breakfast with her friend, who was newly married, and the entity had been talking about the wife, this friend's wife. And so she just said, okay, who's Vivek? And that guy was so taken aback. He's like, oh, Vivek is my wife's ex-husband and he passed away 9 years ago. And so do you realize since 9 years he was just around trying to connect with his wife? So sometimes it's like that. And I was like, how the hell did she see this guy and all? But later on, when I went on to become a Talk to the Entity CF and other ways, it's just something that you become aware of. So sometimes you just get an image, sometimes you don't even get any image. Everybody has different ways of perceiving, but what you see is actually in your mind's eye. And some people get vivid visuals, some people just become aware. Okay, this is it. So just start trusting yourself and follow your knowing, and you'll just have a lot of ease with it. I hope that
Thank
yeah,
Thank you.
that
Thank you. Yeah.
you're welcome. All right, Seema, go ahead. So Seema had raised her hand, right?
I have a question.
Yeah, I thought I'll come to you, Urmi, 1 minute. All right, go ahead, Urmi, go ahead.
Hi, Shruti.
Hi. Hi, Seema,
Yeah.
you raised your hand, right?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. Let me switch on the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I know I have a capacity with entities, but like you said, clear the entities, clear the entities. So I don't get a sense or awareness of the entities every day, like that they are there to be cleared. So what do I do? Like, I don't have so many entities communicating with me or asking me to clear them.
When you're doing the business hours, you just actually have to take out that time every day and just check in. Okay, cool. Are there any entities looking to be cleared today or to be facilitated today? Some of the entities just might have some information for you. Some of the entities just might be there to contribute to you in creating ease. So during that time, when you're checking in with the entities, you might get a message saying something that you were working on, or that land deal is all taken care of, or it's sorted. Suddenly, or some court case that you're fighting is all being taken care of and sorted. So that's their way of also contributing. They'll contribute very dynamically in all aspects of your life, not just one thing. So just all you have to do is check in on them every day. Hi, are there any entities looking to be facilitated or cleared? And what contribution can I be for you, and what contribution can I receive from you? And that's it. Suddenly you become aware of some cousin who stays in some different city, something about it, and then you'll be like, okay, all the entities in and around that person, and just go ahead and clear the entities from him. Or you'll become aware of some building or some property or a car or whatever, or a dog. Just whatever you become or whatever comes to your awareness, just clear entities from that space. Cool. And it's something like, don't get into the linearity of it. Just at that moment, what's showing up, just do that.
Okay.
And also acknowledge when you start being the tools, it's not, then they don't have to put in so much efforts to connect with you.
Mhm.
Then you are just aware. So when you're checking in every day, they know that every day Seema is going to check in with us around this time, around say 11 a.m. And so they're prepared. And when you ask, okay, are there any entities looking to be facilitated or cleared today, you will just suddenly become aware and clear. And even if there aren't, just say, okay, all those entities who are looking to be cleared or facilitated today, and just do the regular entity clearing and leave it at that. Okay, but start doing that every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll go to Urmi. She had a question, and then to you, Malini.
Hi,
Hi, Urmi.
yeah, Smriti, when you said that whenever you are stuck somewhere in a relationship, I mean, sometimes there's unnecessary brawl in family suddenly, or your financial things are suddenly stuck, and you should be clearing more. I want that to be elaborated more because as if I got the awareness, it was told for me. I just got the awareness of it.
Cool.
And
So,
secondly is when you are saying that. We should be clearing entities even we are if we are not aware of, but if taking up a time, but that has to be some business hours, or also it could be during a walk or something, like regularly a particular time should be maintained, right?
So preferably a particular time, but in case you haven't been able to do that, you can just do it as long as you're doing it every day, it's okay.
And another thing I just would add up, then you will continue with your reply, that do we always have to do it unconditionally, or we can also put some condition to the entities asking for some while we are
But
testing?
like what kind of conditions?
Like like you said, the court case. Suppose I want that to be settled. I know they would be doing it already without even asking for it. I know, but sometimes if we want something in particular, can we put it through while
So
facilitating, or
yeah,
should we wait?
you can ask for which are the entities looking to contribute to me solving the court case with total ease. Uh, what contribution can I be and receive from you? And what is required, and then just go ahead. So basically, you've given them a little direction, but you can't control them, you can't ask them to do things for you. You can just request and not depend on them. Oh, I went for this court case and those entities didn't help me. No, it won't be like that. They will just create ease for you.
Yes.
Okay, so they will just sort of suddenly make the judge aware of something, or suddenly you will get some clue from somewhere. Oh, this is what we can add to this particular case, or it'll show up like that, like in random ways. It'll be like as if some invisible force is helping you out. You know, that kind of an awareness. But you have to do your bit. You have to go fight it full-fledgedly.
And suppose if I'm aware of a particular entity, or if I'm not aware of also, but I get a feeling that I get a knowing that that entity requiring lots of love and hugs for me. Can I also give that, or will that create some kind of bond?
You said the entity, you become aware that the entity requires love and hug from you?
Yes,
Is that what you
yes,
said? Yeah, you can give the entity a virtual hug.
yeah. And that of late I've realized. Yeah.
So there's a receiving exercise which is part of the intermediate class, and so you get to allow those entities to come near you, to touch you. You get a sense of how it feels, and yeah, there's lots of ways, different ways that the class starts unfolding depending
And,
on
and
the participants.
and while we talk about entities, it's just not ghosts, it's also higher beings and light beings.
Yeah.
So definitely, yeah, that kind of exchange is always possible. Yeah, thank And can you just elaborate a bit on that part where you said whenever suddenly there's a lot of brawl at the house, a lot of people are shouting and all. If you can keep on
Yeah,
clear.
that time just start clearing entities. There are so like in the intermediate class, we'll be talking about clearing land and entities from the houses, and then there are native land entities, and we'll be talking very much in detail about houses and places and things. So that will help you realize like how you can actually start clearing entities from the how you can ask the house also, which is also an entity, to start contributing to, you know, removing all the unconsciousness and entire consciousness that's present amongst the people in the house. So suddenly there's just so much of ease that starts getting created in your life. So that is also there. I can't go too much into details, otherwise I'll start giving the class away. So these are topics that we'll be discussing big time during the class, what you just said. But just if you have any unease in relationships and constantly every time you're interacting with someone, that person might have entities. Okay, so you might have to clear entities from that person or the people around you, or one by one you start clearing entities from everybody in the family, then from your house and wherever this issue is cropping up, and see what starts changing. And you might have to do it quite often because a lot of people have a lot of oaths and vows with entities. So they're very invested in keeping those entities around to keep them stuck and limited. Right? Sometimes people don't know that they have a way around, or they even have a choice. So they just resign to the fact that, oh, okay, cool, this is the way life has to be, show up for us. Instead of, so basically they start creating their life from a very choiceless universe instead of realizing that they have a choice every moment. And yeah, so that's also there. But like in detail, how to deal with people when things are going on, that's all part of the class. And those are questions more, those are more facilitation questions, which will be part of the class.
Thanks.
Cool. Who else? Malini, go ahead.
Hi, Smriti. How are you?
Hi.
So, my question is about I mean, I have done TTTE and I did it a year back. So, whenever I try and do download exercise, either I just couldn't connect, and somehow, if I would manage to connect, I would sleep. If
Okay.
that makes any sense.
So what's your question to
So
this?
the question is that I choose to do the download exercise, but somehow I couldn't completely consciously. So if you have to say anything about that.
Yeah, okay. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. So it's like, I'd rather just not be aware. So let me just switch off. Let me just go to sleep or turn away everything. It can be like that. And sometimes that's your way, that's the way your body receives. So when you sleep, maybe that's the way your body is receiving. So there's no right way or a wrong way. It is just how the intensity with which you can receive something. And sometimes your being is not really willing to be very present with that, and will just sort of do whatever it can to check out.
Right now, also, when I'm discussing this with you, I'm feeling a lot of restlessness, Smriti.
Okay. So
So
who does that belong to? How many people are you facilitating?
exactly. And since morning, I'm clearing it, but it goes and then it comes back again. So somewhere this pop-up just came up in front of me that your call is going on, and I thought, okay, I have missed half an hour, but thankfully only 10 minutes late I was, and I received it, and a lot of questions got answered here. So it's like I do have a connection with entities. I can feel that. I do have a potency with entities, but somewhere I'm very reluctant. That is what I feel.
So what do you love about being reluctant? And what is that being reluctant creating for you? See, it's like a lot of us want to do a lot of things, but uh, but we're like just hoping and wishing and praying we'll do this, and we all have some really big dreams. But how many of us are even choosing it? And how many of us keep stepping back and moving away instead of actually stepping into what it is that we're looking to create. So a lot of times it's like, you'll be catapulted into big league if you make those choices. But are you even willing to step into that? Sometimes it's easier to remain in our cocoon, in our safe zone. And even though you have a whole lot of capacities, so you will keep ignoring those capacities, you'll keep downplaying your capacities or saying, oh, I must have just imagined it. And I don't really I can't help this, so I can't really sort this out or facilitate this, so let me not deal with it, or let me just check out and then wonder why the hell is my life showing up the way it is. So it is about, so when you're doing the Talk to the Entities Intermediate, it's like choosing to be so present in your life with your choices, with a lot of other things that are showing up. It's like getting out of the fear, getting out of procrastination, choosing a life that you really, really desire, being really, really aware, and things start moving and shifting. So if you're feeling any sort of funk or restlessness, okay, truth, what exactly is going on? What am I aware of that I'm not willing to be present with? And what if I was willing to be present with it? What other opportunities or possibilities can show up with this? And just be in question and be willing to leap. You're aware of a lot of possibilities. There's so much there in the world that you'd really like to contribute to. Just step into it. So what happens is, a lot of us, this is in general for everyone, we tend to make money a major issue. Oh, I don't have the money, I'm not able to choose this, or I can't choose this. But money is just a construct, okay? And the moment you realize, okay, that's like a construct, that's a way we use to stop ourselves, you tend to make money more important than your choices. So what happens is, we'll create money and then we'll look at trying to save money everywhere, or we'll base our choices based on the amount of money we have or we can afford to spend or not. Instead of just saying, okay, wow, this looks really interesting, I'm just going to choose this. What will it take, universe? What do I have to be into to actualize this choice and step into this choice? And show me the infinite possibilities, universe. And you just start stepping into it. And I'll give you a simple example. Long back, and it was a Talk to the Entity CF training. Long back, I was falling short of, I think, 1,80,000. I had my tickets booked. I had the hotel paid for. Some part of the class was already paid for, but I was still falling short of 1,80,000. And I was like, oh gosh, now what do I do? And the next day I'm leaving for a flight and I don't have the money to pay for that class. So a lot of people would have gone into a major funk and would have said, okay, cool, I can't do this. But when you really, really want something, you will actualize it and the money will show up. Okay, it's because you need to acknowledge the demand in your world supersedes all the issues. So when you have the demand in your world, you will start actualizing. So I was having a conversation with a friend and she's like, Smriti, I have about 90,000 in my, or 95,000 in my credit card. I have that much limit in case you'd like to use it, and you can always pay me back later. So I managed to get about 90,000 from her. And then I was still short of money. So I was like, let me see, I'll let you know if I need this, but let me see if I can actualize this. And then she's like, okay, Smriti, what about sessions? Would you like to offer some sessions and all? And I was like, it's too late. Like, I'm leaving tomorrow. I don't have time to create another class. And what do I do? And she's like, okay, what about your sessions? Like, offer some sessions. And I was like, okay, I'll offer 10 sessions for the price of one. Because that way people will join. Like, that's your linear way of thinking. And then she's like, she just stopped me and she's like, would that be fun for you? And I was like, it won't be fun because I give more than 100% in those sessions. And 10 sessions is like a big deal for just, price of one. It'll be like, not really very honoring of me. She's like, what will create more? And I thought about it and I was like, okay, cool. I think I'll offer 3 sessions for the price of one. And then that's how. And I was like, so I put it out. I just created the creative and I put in an invite and I sent that. And I had, by midnight, I had the amount that I needed. And I left for the flight, for the class the next day. So don't underestimate the power of creation. Don't underestimate yourself. And yeah, don't ever underestimate the power of choice. When you choose something, that choice is paramount. And that's what starts actualizing things. So, Malini, when you're aware of something, just start choosing that. Don't look at how I will choose it. Just, there's so much you have to gift and offer to the world. Step into that. Just step into it, whichever way it'll show up. Okay?
Thank
Cool.
you so much for such a generous elaboration, and it really made a lot of difference to me.
You're welcome. And thank you for being here on this call. All right. Who else has questions? Does anyone else have questions? Okay. So let
Hi,
me.
Shruti.
Yeah. Who's this?
So this is Shruti here.
Shruti. Yeah.
Uh, so I have to acknowledge how my journey with Talk to the Entities, and last year Talk to the Entity Intermediate we created in Calcutta, which was my first intermediate.
And it was in a zoo, by the way.
Exactly. So the venue was the Taj Bengal in Calcutta, and we happened to go and do the class in the zoo in Calcutta. And such a potent class it was. So me loving the animals and the birds, we were there, and Smriti always in love with the tiger and all of that. We had different demands in our universe which we did not even tell and know. And while she was going through that download, I think so it was the receiving or the download
Exercise. Yeah.
exercise you were doing, I was
Receiving.
so
It was
receiving
receiving.
exercise. I was actually in a different zone. And by that time, there was crows around who were communicating to us. There was a mongoose which Smriti could see, which is a rare thing, in the day hours. So there were so many things which were gifting us. Again, very non-linear. We will never think that, with this common eye, we will not even know that they are there to gift us. And trust me, just after that intermediate, it was in May last year. And before even stepping inside June, I decided that I would be a CF for Talk to the Entity. It just fell on my lap. So things open from a very different way, which will not make sense. The possibilities really open when we are playing with the spirit world, which includes, as Urmi was talking about, the angels and so many things which we are all aware of. So definitely, I was resisting Talk to the Entity class initially a lot when I started Access around 2014 or 15. And when I did it, it was like it's a huge, and it is an ongoing thing. The more we attend these classes, friends, or these sessions like this, Smriti just shared this experience of that friend of hers. 9 years she's holding on to a entity who is choosing to communicate or be facilitated. So that share has actually empowered me. So, when we are even sharing our experiences in these classes, it is not that we have attended once and we do not attend it again. It is our experiences which we share adds to all that awareness. So, truly,
Absolutely. Like I have so many experiences to share, especially during the classes, what all has shown up for people. It's like phenomenal with the kind of changes that things that start showing up. That's really beautiful. And yeah, talking about that particular intermediate class. So I reached Kolkata that morning and we were not getting the hotel room. Till afternoon or something. So we were like, okay, let's not waste time. And then there was a zoo right across the road. We were like, okay, let's just go to the zoo and we'll see what's required. So we carried our manuals there, and we found a place and we were sitting there and it was just behind the lion's den. And we were conducting the class and then the lion kept roaring. And I was like, your recordings must have all those noises and stuff, which was so interesting. And then during the receiving exercise, and I'm reading out that whole exercise, okay? So Shruti had her eyes closed and she removed her slippers. And then there were these two crows. So one of them came, so they kept coming near, they kept hopping and coming near Shruti, okay? One came and even sat down on the bench and then moved away and stuff. Then they actually picked up her slippers, and then they just started moving away with it. And I'm like, now I can't stop because I was on the floor of conducting that receiving exercise. Now I can't stop that and say, stop that crow, or even take out my phone and make a video. But because the class was being recorded on that phone, and I was like, okay, now what do I do? But that whole experience was so beautiful. And then the crow went, like, he took it very far off and like across the road. And it was like so interesting. And then there was a mongoose which came in and all. So when she opened her eyes, I was like, where are your slippers? And then we realized that the slippers had gone that side. So it was really, really interesting. And I think her grandparents had passed away, and then she got an awareness that they were trying to communicate. And usually you say that, you know, the crows have they depict our ancestors and so on. So these are the kind of experiences that start opening up. Now, in the Talk to the Entity Intermediate class, so in the intro and beginning class, you learn how to communicate with entities. In the intermediate class, you learn how to receive the communication from entities, like how they are communicating with you. You start becoming more aware of their signs and how they're communicating with you. And then there are these topics about there are also topic on sex with entities. There are certain people who experience that, how to deal with something like that, a little more in detail information about that, what it is all about. And then you can also communicate with your soon-to-be child. How can you invite and communicate? Then you'll interact with entities with PTSD, and how do you deal with entities who are going through that. And then you also there is a topic on choosing your parents. How do you tend to choose your parents lifetime after lifetimes? And then we'll be talking about the death spirits and how when you're interacting with the death spirits, what exactly is going on, and how to deal with them, how to be aware of them, and how to communicate with them. And then we'll be talking a lot about land. All sorts of land, how the land is affecting where you're staying, what could be the reasons, how there are entities there'll be native land entities which might be creating issues for you, and how to deal with that. We'll be speaking about land portals and war zones, and how to communicate or contribute to the earth, and so on, and also about communicating with animals. So all these things are covered in this class. It's a very in-depth class, and you get a manual with all the possible clearings. And yeah, so this is what it is. And so what Talk to the Entity Intermediate class is all about strengthening and the deepening and the expanding of your potencies and capacities and clarities with the awareness of entities, and how to actually receive more from them. Okay, so this is what the class is all about, and how to receive everything that you are aware of, receive all the energies that you may or may not have ever claimed or owned or acknowledged about yourself. So it's about accessing all of that with this. So our class is, what's the date? 23rd June. There's a Talk to the Entity Intermediate coming up in Kolkata. You can connect with Shruti for all details. There's a prereq for that. I think you need to have done a foundation or a Talk to the Entity intro and beginning class within 18 months. So, or maybe an advanced class. plus talk to the entity intermediate within 18 months. So then you're eligible to attend this class. And it's for 55,000 INR for Indian participants. And otherwise is global pricing, which is 25% more. That's it. What else? Any other question?
I just wanted to, I think so, I just missed it. It is either foundation or talk to the entity beginning, Smriti.
No, it's both.
It has to be both, right?
Yeah.
And we can just do in person, not
Yeah. So this class can only be done in person. After the new talk to the entity training, that's in July. After that, maybe certain people will be allowed to offer it online too. But at this moment, till July, it's only available live. So yeah.
great.
And in case anyone wants me to conduct this class in Mumbai, let me know. You can connect with Shruti for the same too, or you can connect directly with me. But for the class in Kolkata that's coming up next month in June, connect with Shruti.
This month.
Oh, this month. Oh yeah, it's this month. This month, 23rd June.
Maybe we are having you next month also.
Yeah, you never know. So thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I'm so grateful for each one of you and so looking forward to having you choose this class and what contribution can I be to you. Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting me for this call, Shruti. Really,
Thank
really
you so
grateful
much.
to you too.
Thank you so much, Smriti.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.